First of all, Sunny, again, just want to say a big thank you for coming over to Speak XPLR. I appreciate it.
Pleasure being here. I'm really excited and looking forward for this podcast.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look, as I mentioned before, the bio is in the show notes, but now while you're here, can you tell us what are you currently working on and what do you do?
Sure. Hello to everyone, those who are listening to this. My name is Sunny and I'm the founder and director at STAR. STAR is a space education and research-based startup that is based out of India, and we aspire to make space for everyone. Our vision is to provide space education to students worldwide, irrespective of their educational background, their grades, their religion, their nationality. We believe that there are no borders there, and education is something which everyone should have access to. And other vision is, like we're looking forward to having launch vehicles dedicated for students, so that after 10 years, if students want to build and send their experiments out there in space, they can actually do that by sending their payloads, their sensors, their CubeSats in space, and they can collect data.
Gotcha, gotcha. And this is very important. So why, I understand the reasons myself, space is for everyone, but can you explain that to the people, the ones who are brand new and is like, what, can I be part of it? Can you explain what does it mean space for everyone?
Sure. So if we focus on, or if we go to the past, and understand why the space technology got started, it started with an intention of competition between two countries, but then later on there came a stage where people started using space technology for exploration. Now, and you might be aware about the flight computers which are used in the Apollo spacecraft. The memory size of the computer was, even lower than the memory that we have in our calculators nowadays. Our mobile phones are more powerful than the flight computers of the Apollo spacecraft. So the technology is now getting advanced, because of the fourth generation of technology that we have got, including 3D printing technology, and the electronics are becoming smaller and smaller and more, efficient and economical. So looking at all these scenarios which is happening on the other side, also we have got investors who are now investing, money for into space. So you have got resources through which you can build technology. You have got money to build to get the resources. Then the only thing that you need is now the passion and the dedication, the perseverance to do, the space exploration. So that is why now we believe that space is not limited to scientists, engineers, or big laboratories. Space is now open for everyone, and space has successfully reached the classrooms.
Gotcha. So this is a huge topic that you kind of touched a little bit, talking about the funding. So, can you talk about that a little bit? Again, about the situation in India and for the startups, how they are able to raise attention and capital with that as well? Or maybe there are other things that companies looking forward to, let's say potential collaborations, or maybe some other creative ways to raise money or just to work together and accomplish the task.
True. So when it comes to building an ecosystem, you need to have people with the demand, and you need to have people who can also fulfill their demands by having supplies. In as I mentioned, that space technology era got started with an intention of competition, but nowadays we use space technologies in our day-to-day life. We use GPS for navigation. We're doing this podcast right now live using internet. So we use the space technology in day-to-day life, and technology is getting evolved. I would say every month, but it is getting evolved every day. So the demand of putting new technology there in space is also increasing, and for that we need rockets, we need launch vehicles, we need spacecrafts to take our commercial payloads and experimental payloads, not only to low Earth orbit. Now very soon it's going to be lunar orbit and the Martian orbits as well. So on one side, we have got a demand which is growing exponentially. On the other side, we need people who can serve them. And when you have got the demand and supply, you have the presence of investor at that particular domain. So that is why the ecosystem is growing in India as well right now, since the government have announced in space, initiative where they will be supporting startups by providing the infrastructure, mentorship, and all the possible help they can give, so that startups can focus building on rockets and not on the other facilities, and they can get a very accurate product.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So this is very good. And by the way, every time I talk with somebody just like yourself who is from India, there is so much happening there, you know, at the same time. Like we always talk about, you know, like NASA or ESA or JAXA or, you know, all these agencies and private companies. And there's so much happening in India currently, actually. And I talk with a lot of people, and like a lot of people are really enthusiastic about the future and what it's going to look like there, you know, so it's really
Yeah,
cool.
we're a big country. We have a population of more than 135 crore, and every other kid in our country aspire to be a space pioneer. And now it's a very high time where people are getting opportunities, and students are really active. They especially in the pandemic, they have got access to the internet and the technology, so they are making the best use of it, and now they are getting connected to the right people in the industry.
Gotcha. So, and again, your products, you know, you can do that online as you're talking about the e-learning. This is a good option. And again, with this current situation with the COVID, it proved that we can not even learn, but work from home too. But, you know, having the projects that you put together when you have hands-on experience, which is another thing, because there's a lot of, you know, we go to the schools, we go to the universities and get this kind of theory, then we have to apply in real life, and maybe it doesn't work exactly the same as we think it would. So having hands-on experience is really good. So maybe you can talk about, you know, services and what do you currently offer to get that hands-on experience, if that's possible for now.
Sure. So basically, you know, as you mentioned that, you know, whatever we do in the practical life is completely different than the theoretical things that we learn in our universities. I won't say that theories are not important. They are important because
Yes.
when you understand physics and mathematics really well, you can come up with the efficient product with by reducing the number of tests that you have to do. If you directly do go over the practical, it would be difficult. So, you know, at Star, we firmly believe that in providing hands-on experience. So before pandemic, we used to have the internships and training programs where students used to come to our laboratory, and we used to provide them the resources and the mentorship to design, build, and launch rockets. We have so far launched 60 plus high-powered rockets successfully, and all are built by students. Uh, During pandemic, that it was a big challenge for us to actually give that experience, you know, that students used to get during the online programs. So what we did is, instead of teaching them just theories or the concepts, we put them in the you know, what we expose them to the real life engineering challenges. We have converted our courses into the form of problem statements. We give them those problem statements to students, and we ask them to put themselves in the shoes of the engineer and now think of the possible solutions. They can come up with a hypothetical idea, they can come up with a logical idea as well, but then they have to work on that idea and they have to come up with the final product. And since you know, last year we have got 160 plus innovations in this particular industry, and I guess I'm just hoping that one of the innovations gets commercialized and they create an impact in the industry.
That is amazing. And these so these programs are for how old do you have to be to participate in one of those? Like the minimum
Uh,
age?
uh, so again, we have not put any you know, limitations in the age group, but then
Okay.
since like we get students from the 6th grade to 7th grade as well.
Mhm.
For the kids who are younger than that, we keep our programs free of cost because we want them to get introduced to the various opportunities in space, to attend our program, to get to know about what things exist in the industry, and in future they can build their career into this. So for young kids, we keep our programs free of cost, and you know, and it's good to see that there are a lot of young people who participates in our program, and then they really you know, think of building their career into this industry.
That is amazing. So, what feedback are you getting from people who take who participate in these programs? Like, where people, majority of the people, leaning towards the most? If it's becoming an astronaut or rocketry or other thing, like where people go these days? What's the number one thing?
I'll be very honest. Every other kid aspired to be an astronaut in India, so everyone want to be there in space. I'm talking about the school students. So you know,
Yeah.
when we interact with the school students, they really want to become astrophysicists or astronauts. But when it comes to the university students, their dreams are not so long term. They are aspiring for getting job in a company and just getting life settled, and they're not wrong at that point. But then that is a point where we work on students. We help them in figuring out the purpose of their life
Mhm.
and striving for something which is you know, which is you know, for the long term.
Gotcha. So can you explain to the people again, as we're talking about this hands-on experience in, you know, creating rockets? So let's say they taking that case, how important? Because I'm pretty sure you provide some sort of a documentation or diploma or document, say, okay, you accomplished this, right? So, and what about that paper versus having experience when you go into work for the company? Just so people understand, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who study engineering but don't have any hands-on experience. So how hands-on experience is important if you're looking to work for a company?
Very true. So if you really want to learn how to swim, you have to get into the water. You cannot just watch YouTube videos and learn how to swim. So that is what we usually do. But before getting into water, we need to give them all the instructions. So in similar way, our internship programs, we train them for 10 to 12 days. We provide all sort of training which is required to work in the problem statement, and we prepare them for the warfare. That is what we call. And then when we introduce them to the problem statement, we allow them to come up with their own ideas and don't influence their ideas. And our focus is to to enhance their critical thinking when they are exposed to the problems. And the second thing that they learn, and the most important thing, is most of the students when we form teams, they've never met each other before, so they get to work with the people with different mindset, different culture, and different ideas. And in that sense, when they work for 30 days, they actually learn team management. They know how to how to conduct meetings, how to respect the point of views and the perspective of others. So these are the things which are very important when someone want to build a career, whether they want to have their own startup or whether they want to go for a job. So these are the things we try to inculcate in our program so that students, they get ready for or prepare for their future work.
Okay, gotcha. And what about the services? Are you planning or maybe looking into the future, adding more services based on the feedback that you're getting from people, and what those services are going to be?
Sure. So we recently collaborated with a satellite company, and it's going to be a rent. Like, you can have a satellite on rent in space. So they already have their hardware. Students just need to upload their algorithm or the code from here, and they can perform an experiment. So they already have sets of sensors which are there in the satellite. So not every student can design, build, and launch their own satellite. Not everyone can afford it, but we can have few blank satellites in space which can be programmed from the Earth, and then you can perform your experiment. So we are looking forward to having such satellites in space, and also we are focusing on creating sounding rockets which would take students experiment to the microgravity, and they can actually test their systems by designing and by building them.
That's very good. That's very good. So can you give us a little bit of understanding, because I'm sure there's some science communicators who are probably watching or listening to these episodes, and they're thinking about doing maybe similar things in their own countries. So you successfully do the outreach, like I just give the numbers: 60 plus launches, 12,000 students outreach. So you did 150 workshops, 600 interns trained, and 40 collaborations, which of course I want to talk about that too. I think it's very important. So can you help people to understand, like, how do you communicate science and get people attention? So those numbers could be similar to them too.
Uh, Before like making someone interested into science, you need to be interested in science. You need to be you need to be excited about things that you're doing, and that reflects when you are communicating with people. I always say that a teacher needs to be a good communicator first, and a good learner as well. And like when you teach someone, two people learn at the same time. That is that person and you yourself. So you need to be excited about the thing that you're doing. Teaching is a I won't say a difficult task, but it's a big responsibility because you're shaping someone, and that person is going to shape your country and this world. So it's a big responsibility. So first thing, if you need to be a science communicator, you actually have to be a very good learner. You have to work on yourself. You have to work on your communication skill. You have to work on your research skill. You have to work on tackling the questions that you're getting from the students. One more thing you have to ensure is that after communicating with you, students should not stop asking questions. In fact, they should have more and more questions after talking to you, right? And don't answer all the questions of students directly. Give them the situations and ask them to visualize things and come up with their answers and to put in front of you. When you give direct answer to them, they stop thinking. The habit of critical thinking gets degraded, and that is what we don't want. We want them to visualize things, to come up with their own perspective on the situation that you created in their minds, and that is the best way you can teach. And again, I would repeat that if they have questions, if they are reaching out to you, ensure that after meeting they come up with more and more questions, and they should not stop asking questions.
Got you. This is a really important point that you're talking about. That instead of exactly explaining everything, because there's a lot of science communicators who know a lot of things, and they tend to just overload people with information, just tell them everything, and people like, okay, so you're an expert, you know all these things, and like I'm just getting started, and they probably get demotivated, at some point. Some people probably will. So workshops, like how that is important, and maybe we can talk about that. 150 workshops, like what ideas or maybe future ideas are you planning to put together for people to, again, to continue to have that hands-on experience, and how does the planning process for those look like if you want to do that successfully?
Yep. So what we do is usually, right now we have got only, three types of workshops. One is on rockets, second is the satellites and the rovers. Now we are focusing on the other technologies, which includes quantum computers as well. So the workshops, our intention of doing workshop is to introduce students to the various opportunities that they have got in this industry. Of not only space, now we are also focusing in the industry of physics and the quantum mechanics. So we're also getting into that those domains, and our intention is, students should get to know about each and every opportunity, and then they should get in they should get in a chance to select one of them, and to decide in which they want to build their career in. So with that intention, we create workshops. Now the question is, why should students should come to us to learn how to make rockets? Because everything is there on internet. The reason they should come to us is, we don't only teach how to make rockets, we also teach how not to make rockets, because we have built rockets, we have experienced a lot of failures. So we share our failure experiences with them, and we don't ask them to avoid making mistakes, but we ask them to make new mistakes, come up with new innovations, or you can try out something different that we already have tried out. So with that intention, we create our workshops.
And that's really beautiful. So just a quick question. How important is rocketry actually? Because now we have all these different companies, globally. Some of those companies are really big, like just like SpaceX, Blue Origin, or something with, a lot of capital available to them. So why we have to continue to build the rockets, and somebody who is just getting started might be, again, overwhelmed by the size of the company. They're already established, have hundreds of, have thousands of employees. So what would you say to those people? Why rocketry for now is still important?
So if you would have done this podcast 10 years back, then the question would be like, already government companies are building. Why private companies need to build rockets, right? But
Yeah.
now we know what private companies have done with the industry. Like most of the government launches are now supported by the private companies, and vice versa. The thing right now is, innovation is something which always keeps on happening when more and more people work on it.
Yeah.
And I always say that people believe that less people are getting into rocket industry just because rockets are complicated. But the fact is, rockets are still complicated because less people are working on them. So we really want more and more people to actually, get into the industry, to think about the innovative ideas. How can we make rockets more simple? How can we make them smaller? And how can we reach space, at the economical cost? So that is why we have got this particular intention. And other thing is, like most of the companies right now, they are focusing on the low Earth orbit, especially the small satellite launch vehicles, and they are focusing on the commercial payloads. But very few companies are actually focusing on the student space experimental payloads, and for the interplanetary missions. So that is where now we need more and more startups in the world which focus on student space experimental payload, and taking them to the lunar and the Martian orbits.
That is fantastic. So talking about the Leo, or let's say Geo. So do you have that conversation with people too when they want to launch their own, let's say, CubeSats, or if it's a rocket, it's one thing, but when you want to launch, let's say, something to, and again, you talked about a company who provides the testing that you can use that, equipment, satellite for that. But I don't know how much of the, CubeSats, or that way do you go about and explain about satellites as you continue to say you want to expand and that at that point, how, because there's this huge problem with with the debris. And do you have that conversation too, talking with the kids or people and saying, okay, maybe let's think about different systems and different pieces that we can put there too, besides the instruments to mitigate the risk of the collision? I mean, does that conversation goes right now freely with the people, or we still focus the most on the instruments and what type of research we're going to be working on?
Good question. So I'll give you an example. Like if you go to kitchen and if you're cooking for the very first time, you'll create a lot of mess in the kitchen. But
Yeah.
when you get experience now, when you cook, you'll create less mess, right? Because you have got the experience now. Space, I won't say that space is something which is completely new to us or to the humans, but now we need to think in this direction of reducing the number of debris which is already there and focusing on creating technology which is reusable.
Mm-hmm.
So and that is where like people in this industry have been successful at up to some point, because you can see that we have many launch vehicle companies now reusing their first stage, and also now they are reusing their hit shields as well. So thing is, now people have started taking step towards reusability, which is going to reduce the number of space debris that will be creating in the future. But definitely we will need more and more startups and the government initiatives which will be backing up the startups by providing funds to remove all the debris that we have created. It is going to be there, but that's not where we have to stop. We have to so it's one of the challenge while we are doing something, and challenges are like we should not get stopped because of the challenges. In fact, we should
Yeah.
think of how to overcome them, and how can we fight against it, and then keep exploring and keep launching things to space.
Exactly. So as you're talking about, the challenges is always going to be there. We have to face them regardless, because this is part of the innovation, part of us going further into future, and we just have to face it regardless, the problem, the challenge. But we can tackle and we can solve these problems when we make partners, we collaborate with people. So how successful for you was those collaborations, as you have 40 plus collaborations with companies just for the start for your own company? Can you talk about that aspect, like how important for people is to collaborate with other people too?
Collaborations, collaboration is a key. If you want to grow in the industry, you cannot grow alone. You have to, you have to get support, and if you also have to provide support to each and every one who is operating in the industry, or even into the different domains. The collaborations for us have been really fruitful, because I'm really happy that in India's space startup ecosystem, the space education-based company, they are really friendly. The founders are really, open to discuss things which are going into the industry right now. That is how we have kept our conversations really healthy whenever we meet. Good thing is, by doing the collaborations with the university, it's a win-win situation for both. Like we get students, and students get the opportunities, and universities, they get all the promotions that they need. So it's an overall development which is continuously happening in India. And in fact, like in last 2 weeks, we have got a few more collaborations which are definitely going to help students and us together for growing like as a startup and as a community.
Mm-hmm. So where do you want to see Star in the future? I mean, I don't know how far ahead do you plan, but let's say 5, 10, or 20 years from now, what's the best case scenario for you and for the company?
Uh, the only future that I can see right now is space being accessible to everyone, not only in the form of education, but even if someone want to send something there. So I really, and again, regardless of the religion and the all sorts of criteria that humans have defined. So I really want like to open the space window for even for the school students who really want to send their experiments out there, and to explore and to expand their horizon. So that is a vision that we have got, and we are definitely looking forward to achieving it by these decades.
That's really great. So coming back to the education, guys and girls, the ones who are watching, I don't know if that could be included in a podcast if you're listening to that, but if you go to the YouTube channel, you're going to find a great link to a great resource, which is completely free. As we talked about, rocket science being too complicated, you're going to find Rocket Science 101, which is a great free resource for you to download. It's a PDF, 40 pages, quick read, so we can get more insights and understand, how rockets actually work. So that's going to be there. What about expanding the team? Are you looking actually for people who could potentially work with you as volunteers, or do you have open positions? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, so definitely, like I guess in the next 2 quarters are going to be very much crucial for both our education and the research segment. In the education segment, we are looking forward to have shapers. We call trainers as shapers because they're basically shaping the world. So we are looking forward to have shapers who can, who are good communicators and who are ready to serve the students. That specifically into the avionics and the designing departments. And obviously, for the launch vehicle program, we are right now focusing on getting people from the propulsion background who will who can help us out in creating the modular design of our engine. And we are already halfway of creating our engine now. So we're expecting our work to be completed by the next year and entering the testing phase very soon.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So this is really cool. Again, as I said, that again, I spoke with the people who do have similar business model, and I think right now where we are in a phase in the space industry, a lot of that has to be the science communication. It's again through the podcast, through the blog post, through the YouTube content, whatever that form it is. Even companies like yours, we are in a phase where definitely there's a lot of momentum going with what's happening, and I think space industry picked up really fast when the COVID started, this awful situation. But last year it picked up really fast because people went to the closest thing probably to let them feel, or not to think about the situation that more. And whatever was close, I don't know how space ended up being close to them, so everybody grabbed it. Well, a lot of people grabbed it, but it's really good. So I think we gained a lot of momentum. But now with that momentum, with all these Instagram posts or social, what's happening on social media, we need those companies just like yours, just like Star, who can tell people and give them again the hands-on experience with, okay, this is, you're already excited about space, but this is what you can do in the space industry, and this is how you do it. So I think this is really important what you guys do.
So few days back, I went through your YouTube channel, and I got to know that you have interviewed amazing people in the industry. So the only thing that came in my mind is, this is a treasure there on the YouTube, and students should really come to this particular channel, and also get connected to people to whom you interviewed, because I know Bailey Burns, you interviewed her as well, and she's an amazing personality in this industry, and she's very active on Instagram and the other social media platforms, reaching out to students as well. So this is what I always believe, and I shared your channel as well with our students, because the content which is there and people coming to your platform and sharing their real life experiences, kind of real motivation that and the inspiration that they can get. So you are really doing great job, and it's inspiration. I regret that when I was undergrad, I didn't have such resources from which I could get the motivation and the inspiration, but now I guess it's going to be really helpful for the students.
Yeah, well, it's good, having a podcast, and I do encourage everybody who's maybe you're listening and maybe you gave a thought about, okay, maybe I should do a podcast, same as we talked about the rocket industry. Maybe I should be involved in rockets, but there's all these established companies. Same is for the podcast or science communication. It doesn't mean that somebody's ahead of you a little bit more, and you don't have a starting point yet. Look, you can start right now if it's a podcast, if it's a rocketry, and you can become better company, or you can become a better podcaster, or a better science communicator. So it doesn't matter that somebody else doing it. We should just leave it to those people, because we need other people too. So it's just this continuous communication of science, and we have to do more of that. So yeah, this is really awesome. Again, guys, you're gonna find all these links, and again, make sure to download the Rocket Science 1 by 1, because this is a great resource. Of course, I'll have that for myself too, just to read through it. So this is really awesome what you guys are doing. Again, I encourage guys and girls to get in contact with this man, and ask him questions about how you can be part of that, maybe potential collaboration. So whatever, have that private conversation with Sunny, and see where it goes, because through that collaboration, we can make great things happen, and we need to do more of that. And of course, if you're looking to be part of the services, part of the lessons, get in contact with him as well, and ask questions about that too. So Sunny, it's really great to have you on today, and I know it's kind of quick interview we have here today, but look, there's a lot of great information that you provided for us today. And I feel like you're going to be doing really great things, and being part of this space industry to continue to educate the next generation, which is actually going to be the future. You know, this generation that's coming behind us, the Z generation, I think that's the name, right?
Yeah.
So we need to inspire people and show them the ways of how to do it. So like from me and from the audience, I just can say big thank you again for what you guys are doing and working on. It's really awesome.
Thanks for the wonderful opportunity. I really enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So again, guys and girls, get in contact with Sunny. You're going to find all these links down below. And again, one last thing, if it won't hurt you and won't hurt your time, if you share that with your friends, would be greatly appreciated, because I think Sunny has a really great message, and you can actually feel that. That he has a really great message, and he wants to inspire other people and teach them the ins and outs, the one-by-one strategy. How do you get started? So this is really great. So if you share that, it's awesome. So again, guys, I appreciate you watching and listening, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thanks for watching.